Good evening, this is the News Tonight, your daily roundup of all that has happened across India and the world. I'm Ishan Russell, and our focus tonight, of course, is on US President Barack Obama, who concluded his India visit today and also just a short while ago addressed a joint radio session with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So what was said in that, we'll be updating you. Also, what has transpired over the past 3 days, we'll be discussing that with a special guest today. But first, before we get into all that, we'll take a look at the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Barack Obama addressed special session of Mann Ki Baat from the girl child to youth. Both focus on a host of social issues. US President Barack Obama wraps up 3-day visit to India, thanks Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a memorable visit. Markets cheer the Indo-US deal as Obama's announcements in trade. Sensex zooms nearly 300 points to hit a new lifetime peak. Encounter in the Tral area of Jammu and Kashmir, gallantry award-winning army colonel among 5 people killed. And Thomas Berdych scores an upset at the Australian Open, knocks out Rafael Nadal in straight sets to reach the semi-finals. And our top story tonight, US President Barack Obama wound up his 3-day visit to India with an address to a select gathering at the Shri Fort Auditorium. At his last public appearance in India, Obama spoke of the potential of the India-US partnership, massive social, cultural and emotional overlaps between the two nations, and the possibilities of working together to lead the world.
India and America, the future we can build together. An apt title to the US President's last public interaction.
Namaste.
In a visit that has taken the relationship to a new paradigm and dimension, Obama said time is ripe enough, like never before, to take ties to a new plane.
I believe if we're going to be true global partners, then our two nations must do more around the world together. So to ensure international security and peace, multilateral institutions created in the 20th century have to be updated for the 21st. And that's why I support a reformed United Nations Security Council that includes India as a permanent member.
Invoking Swami Vivekananda and Mahatma Gandhi, President Obama highlighted intense similarities between the two cultures beyond business ties.
Swami Vivekananda helped bring Hinduism and yoga to our country, and he came to my hometown of Chicago.
On the need to empower and educate women, hailing the potential of each showing the way to the other. Religious tolerance, he stressed, was the foundation of the way forward for both.
Around the world we've seen intolerance and violence and terror perpetrated by those who profess to be standing up for their faith, but in fact are betraying it. No society is immune from the darkest impulses of man, and too often religion has been used to tap into those darker impulses as opposed to the light of God.
After a 40-minute long speech, on the sidelines of the event, Obama met children and students. Among those present, Nobel laureate Kailash Satyarthi, whose Bachpan Bachao Andolan has worked extensively for children's welfare, bringing down curtains on a visit that redraws many a parallel between India and the US. With inputs from Akhilesh Suman, Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
And American President Barack Obama called for a greater role for India in the Asia-Pacific region. Against the backdrop of China exerting its influence in the South China Sea, Obama today said freedom of navigation must be upheld. However, China refuted Obama's remarks on the dispute. Beijing's reaction comes a day after criticizing Obama's support for India and the nuclear suppliers group.
India made its stand clear on the South China Sea row last year when it called for free navigation on the disputed waters. Southeast Asian nations like Vietnam have sought India's help on maritime safety and security in the region. On Tuesday, US President Barack Obama called for India's greater role in the region, backing Delhi's views.
The United States welcomes a greater role for India in the Asia-Pacific, where the freedom of navigation must be upheld and disputes must be resolved peacefully.
China has refuted the remarks. Its foreign ministry said the issue should be resolved through talks by parties directly concerned. Obama's remarks came a day after China reacted strongly to US support for India for a place in the nuclear suppliers group. On Monday, China called Pakistan its irreplaceable ally in the region. According to experts, China views the US-India bonhomie as an attempt to balance Beijing's dominance in the region.
Chinese are obviously reacting to what they fear is the American attempt to bring India into its into the ambit of its alliances and the pivot to Asia framework. So they naturally are having concerns that India will also be joining the United States.
China had earlier warned India against meddling in its dispute with Vietnam over islands in the South China Sea. It also opposed Vietnam's move to invite India to carry out oil exploration in the area. Brunei, Malaysia, the Philippines, Taiwan and Vietnam contest the Chinese claims on the resource-rich region. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A special edition of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's radio address, Mann Ki Baat, featured US President Barack Obama today. The special edition of the program was reportedly recorded at Hyderabad House. The 35-minute long episode was longer than Modi's previous Mann Ki Baat editions.
I think part of what motivates both you and I is the belief that there are millions of children out there who have the same potential, but may not have the same education, may not be getting exposed to opportunities in the same way. And so part of our job, part of government's job, is that young people who have talent and who have drive and are willing to work for it are able to succeed.
कुछ भी बनने के सपने कभी मत देखो. अगर सपने देखने हैं तो कुछ करने के देखो. जब कुछ करते हैं तो संतोष भी मिलता है और नया करने की प्रेरणा भी मिलती है. सिर्फ बनने के सपने देखते हैं और नहीं बन पाते हैं तो सिवाय निराशा कुछ हाथ नहीं लगता है. और इसलिए मैंने जीवन में कभी कुछ भी बनने का सपना देखा नहीं था. आज भी कुछ बनने के सपने दिमाग में है ही नहीं, लेकिन कुछ करने के जरूर हैं. और भारत माता की सेवा करना, 125 करोड़ देशवासियों की सेवा करना, इससे बड़ा सपना क्या हो सकता है. एक जमाने में खास करके कम्युनिस्ट विचारधारा से प्रेरित लोग थे. वे दुनिया में एक आह्वान करते थे और वो कहते थे, वर्कर्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड यूनाइट. दुनिया के मजदूर एक हो जाओ. मैं समझता हूं आज की जो युवा की शक्ति है, आज की युवा की जो पहुंच है, इसको देखते हुए मैं यही कहूंगा कि यूथ यूनाइट द वर्ल्ड. युवकों, दुनिया को एक करो.
I say sometimes that the only problems that come to my desk are the ones that nobody else solves. If they were easy questions, then somebody else would have solved them before they reached me. So there are days when it's tough and frustrating, and that's true in foreign affairs, that's true in domestic affairs. But I tell you what inspires me, and I don't know, Mr. Prime Minister, if you share this view. Almost every day I meet somebody who tells me, you made a difference in my life. Sometimes they're thanking you for things that you did 4 or 5 years ago. Sometimes they're thanking you for things you don't even remember or you're not thinking about that day. But it's a reminder of what you said earlier, which is if you focus on getting things done as opposed to just occupying an office or maintaining power, then the satisfaction that you get is unmatched.
And now we're joined by Ambassador Jayant Prasad. Of course, he'll be trying to help us understand this entire three-day visit was also a lot about substance, about doing a lot of things, but also very high on symbolism, Ambassador Prasad. And please help us understand as far as the importance of that symbolism, because this is one of the most televised diplomatic interactions between any two countries.
Ishan, this is a visit where symbolism subsumes substance and vice versa. It is a visit which has exceeded expectations in the sense that from the time he arrived here, President Obama set a very positive narrative with Prime Minister Modi. And there were a succession of important bilateral issues on which the two sides have made very positive progress, notably in civil nuclear cooperation, in defense, in energy, and in economic relationships and technology. And I think the results are substantial. But, you know, one thing which had marked India-US relationship in the past, even in phases where the relationship had turned extremely positive, was that this was essentially a bilateral relationship. But on this visit, there was a declaration of friendship, and there was also a vision statement for Indian Ocean and the Asia-Pacific region.
Right.
And here there is a new element that has entered our relationship, which is a congruence or increasing congruence and consonance of interests between India and the United States.
And that perhaps, Ambassador Prasad, because of China. I mean, we played out that story about the Chinese reaction to this entire visit and the fact that the oceans are always come in, the need to ensure that maritime rules are as they've been for centuries. And China and the South China Sea particularly seems to have prompted, and China's role over there seems to have prompted that being in part of the strategic vision. And how do you see this coming playing out in the coming days?
I think there has been a degree of overreaction in China. The Foreign Office statement is circumspect, but the media reactions, including the official media reaction in China, in Xinhua and Global Times, have been more visceral. And this is hard to understand because what is contained in this document is no different from what India and the United States have said in the past or done in the past, which is to increase their contact with countries in the neighborhood, in the Asia, Indo-Pacific region, to develop greater military capacity and capabilities, and to focus on internal growth, development, and employment. One thing which has been always in consonance between India and the United States is the need for comprehensive engagement with China, and China knows it very well. It maintains the best of relations with the US, and it also seeks to maintain good relations with us, and so do we. And there has been no effort on the part of either the United States or on the part of India to contain China or to develop an alliance system against it.
All right, so then how does India's position, because I'm taking the visit forward from here, how does India and Indian diplomacy use this visit to strategically perhaps make India step up in the entire region, as that entire strategic vision also outlined, that India is no longer confined to South Asia, but from a rather larger Asia-Pacific standpoint?
You know, the entanglement of India in regional and global affairs is a natural consequence of the development of Indian economy. We were an insular economy earlier. Our GDP was very small. Now we are still under $2 trillion. But according to the IMF and the World Bank projections, which came only last week, we will have an economy of $3 trillion by 2019 end. And our interaction with the rest of the world is going to go up. And in this, we would like to maintain our friendships with countries with which we have adversarial relationships. We would try to improve them. So we would willy-nilly, naturally, because of where we are going, we have to have greater international traction and a more intense external relationship. So we can't shy away from it. And so we are getting into it with open eyes, with a sense of realism, and with a sense that we should maintain good relations all around us.
All right, Ambassador Prasad, we'll leave it over there, but thank you very much for coming in and helping our viewers and us understand how does Indo-American relationships and also India move on from here.
Thank you, Ishan.
All right, we'll take a very quick break right now. There's lots more coming up on the other side, so do stay tuned.
Hello and a warm welcome to our special report, the program that brings you a ground zero view from whichever part of the country the Rajya Sabha TV cameras are travelling. It is the same village where the Telangana agitation actually began. We at Rajya Sabha TV bring you the first pictures of the landfall site. This is the main nerve centre where the legal battle for the Kaveri water dispute began. When you are moving around this Niyamgiri Hill area, there are 41 streams like these which you have to cross.
No one understands India better than we do. Watch special report only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now, an army colonel and 2 jawans were killed in an encounter with the Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists in the Thral area of Jammu and Kashmir. The 2 terrorists were also shot dead. The gun battle broke out after an army unit and the local police launched a search operation in the Mindora village. Martyred Colonel M.M. Rai was among the gallantry medal winners this year. In fact, he was conferred the Yudh Seva Medal for outstanding contribution in conducting operations, including a gun battle with militants in South Kashmir last year. Colonel Rai is from Ghazipur in Uttar Pradesh. He belonged to the 9 Gorkha Rifles, but was on deputation to the Rashtriya Rifles. He is survived by 2 daughters and a son. The dead militants were identified as Adil Khan, a local resident of Mindora, and Shiraz Dar. Both belonged to the Hizbul Mujahideen outfit. On to elections in Delhi, where the Election Commission today directed Aam Aadmi Party Chief Arvind Kejriwal to desist from making comments that violate the Model Code of Conduct. The Commission took serious note of Kejriwal's repeated remarks asking voters to accept bribes from the Congress and the BJP but vote for his party. He's been warned of stern action in case of further violations. This comes after Kejriwal defied the Election Commission's snub and made the remark at 2 election rallies in Jangpura and Kastubra Nagar constituencies last night. The EC was responding to separate complaints made by the Congress and the BJP against the AAP convener. US President Barack Obama's India visit is also becoming an issue in the Delhi elections. BJP's chief ministerial candidate Kiran Bedi has Obama's visit as a huge achievement for the BJP. But she faced severe backlash for her remark, with the Aam Aadmi Party, the Congress and others calling it cheap politics.
The BJP's chief ministerial candidate is seeking votes in Delhi using United States President Barack Obama's name.
दिल्ली की जरूरत क्या है? दिल्ली चाहती क्या है? अगर दिल्ली अपने सारे देश के साथ जिसको आज उड़ान के लिए नरेंद्र मोदी जी हमको ले जा रहे हैं, ओबामा जी ऐसे नहीं आते.
The invitation extended to Bedi for the Republic Day parade is already a big issue. To top it all, her using the United States President's name to garner votes has not gone too well with the opposition. The opposition says that Republic Day should not be politicized.
ओबामा का नाम क्यों इस्तेमाल करना पड़ रहा है किरण बेदी को? क्योंकि उनके पास दिल्ली के मुद्दों पर बात करने के लिए कुछ सब्सटेंस नहीं है. वो उनके पास कोई रोड मैप नहीं है कि दिल्ली में हर घर साफ पानी कैसे पहुंचाया जाए. आम आदमी पार्टी उसके बारे में बात कर रही है, वो ओबामा के बारे में बात कर रही हैं.
Well, it's extremely unfortunate that this government tried to politicize the Republic Day parade also. The kind of prominence which they attempted to give to their chief ministerial candidate is something which is unprecedented and is a violation of all norms of established protocol.
But BJP claims that the deals finalized during Obama's visit are a result of Prime Minister Modi's vision and they see no wrong in gaining political mileage out of it.
लगातार अनेक देशों के राष्ट्राध्यक्ष यहाँ आ रहे हैं और जिस तरह से वो निवेश की घोषणा करके जा रहे हैं, तो हमारे लिए तो प्राउड की बात है, प्रत्येक भारतीय के लिए गर्व की बात है.
Campaigning in Haryana, Maharashtra, Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir also saw Modi's visits abroad being used to woo voters. Shamsundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And BJP's Chief Ministerial nominee Kiran Bedi has sent a legal notice to Aam Aadmi Party Chief Arvind Kejriwal for using her photograph in the party's poster campaign without her permission. Kejriwal has been asked to ensure that the posters are removed. The party recently put up posters on auto rickshaws asking Delhiites to choose between an honest Kejriwal and an opportunist Kiran Bedi.
बिना पूछे अनैतिकता है किसी की तस्वीर इस्तेमाल करना और जजमेंट पास करनी और ये सारे टीएसआर स्कूटर्स जो ईस्ट दिल्ली को जा रहे हैं ईस्ट वाले हैं लेकिन घूमते सारी दिल्ली में ना तो पकड़ में आ गए देख लिया मैंने फोटो खींची लॉयर को भेज दी कि ये नैतिक है क्या ये इलीगल क्या है तो उस लॉयर ने कहा नहीं ये डेफेमेटरी है तो नोटिस दे दिया उनको
Certain rules and regulations in elections, we all have to abide by those rules. If you want to use anyone's photo for the elections, then it's but natural that you should be asking that person for the permission to use the photo. But the Aam Aadmi Party has never done that. It only shows the anarchy of the Aam Aadmi Party, which does not want to follow any rules and regulations.
And Rahul Gandhi hit the campaign trail in Delhi today ahead of the assembly elections, holding a roadshow in South Delhi, claiming that his party will stage a comeback. This time, the Congress vice president also accused the NDA government of neglecting the poor. Perched atop an open vehicle and accompanied by party colleagues including Ajay Makhan and Arvinder Singh Lovely, Rahul Gandhi campaigned for his party candidates. He held the roadshow in unauthorized colonies in Govindpuri and Calcutta localities, asserting that the Congress will make a comeback in Delhi. Rahul said his party will focus on three key issues, which include providing electricity and water at the lowest cost.
भैया मई से एनडीए की सरकार है और प्रधानमंत्री जी पीआर कर रहे हैं अपना पर्सनल पीआर कर रहे हैं मगर कॉन्क्रीट एक काम नहीं हुआ है रियलिटी ये है और जनता ये पूछ रही है कि बातें कब बंद होंगी काम कब शुरू होगा कांग्रेस पार्टी उन लोगों की पार्टी है कमजोर लोगों की पार्टी है गरीब लोगों की पार्टी है और हम इसलिए वापस आएंगे कि हम गरीब लोगों के साथ खड़े रहेंगे उनका हाथ पकड़ेंगे और एक बार फिर हिंदुस्तान को सही पटरी पे पहुंचाएंगे
Well, news from the stock markets now, and the BIC Sensex and the NSE Nifty continued their record-breaking streak for the fifth consecutive day on Tuesday. The Nifty hit a record high at 8,900 level for the first time. The 50-share Nifty index was up 76 points to end at 8,911. The Sensex was up 266 points at 29,545. The markets were buoyed by optimism over the upcoming budget and quarterly earnings amidst positive domestic forces and mixed global cues. According to experts, capital goods stocks rose after US President Barack Obama and Indian Prime Minister Modi unveiled a deal aimed at unlocking billions of dollars in nuclear trade and deepening defense ties. Now, after a successful three-day visit to India, US President Barack Obama arrived in Saudi Arabia earlier today. Obama is accompanied by a bipartisan delegation, including prominent Republican officials, former Secretaries of State James Baker and Condoleezza Rice. Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama were greeted by the newly anointed King Salman bin Abdulaziz at the Riyadh airport. Obama cut short his trip to India to visit the new Saudi king and pay his respects to King Abdullah, who died last week. White House officials said both leaders will hold bilateral talks and discuss a wide range of issues, including Yemen and the Islamic State. In Libya, fresh militant attacks killed 3 people and injured 12 others. Security officials said many gunmen stormed the Corinthia hotel in the Libyan capital Tripoli and opened fire. A car bomb also exploded outside the hotel. Few gunmen are still suspected to be inside that hotel. Libyan officials confirmed that a foreigner and a Philippine national are among the injured. Meanwhile, a Twitter account linked to the Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attack. One gunman has been arrested. Well, some sports now, and Thomas Berdych caused yet another upset at the Australian Open by knocking out world number 3 Rafael Nadal in the quarterfinals. Berdych will meet Andy Murray, who also reached the semi-finals today. However, women's second seed Maria Sharapova remained course for her 6th Grand Slam by reaching the semi-finals. Here's all the updates from the Australian Open today.
Thomas Berdych came into the quarter-final having lost last 17 encounters against world number 3 Rafael Nadal. An 18th successive defeat would have set a new record in men's tennis. But Bedi flew out of the blocks against a struggling Nadal to take the first set 6-2. He continued his dominance in the second, not allowing Nadal to win even a single game. There was a semblance of fight back from Nadal in the last set, but it wasn't enough. Bedi overcame the resistance in the tie-break to complete an emphatic 6-2, 6-0, 7-6 victory.
Was not my day. I didn't play with the right intensity, with the right rhythm, and the opponent played better than me.
Bedi will next face Andy Murray in the last four. 6th seed Murray beat Australian Nick Kyrgios in straight sets to enter the semi-finals. Despite the backing of home crowd, Kyrgios found it difficult to break a determined Murray. The British top seed eventually won the match 6-3, 7-6, 6-3.
Fifth semi-final for Andy Murray. First Australian Open quarter-final ends in defeat for Kyrgios.
However, there were no surprises in the women's singles. 2nd seed Maria Sharapova had an easy outing with a straight sets win against 7th seed Eugene Bouchard. Sharapova brushed aside her Canadian opponent 6-3, 6-2 in 1 hour and 18 minutes. She will meet 10th seed Ekaterina Makarova in an all-Russian semi-final. Makarova defeated 3rd seed Simona Halep 6-4, 6-0 to reach her second semi-final in Grand Slams. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's news tonight. Good night.